The Galactic Empire had spoken. Earth will kneel. 1 hour. Then we strike. But Earth did not kneel. Earth didn't even answer. Aboard the lead flagship, Admiral Tyrell laughed. Arrogant primitives. They don't even have planetary shields. He ordered the first volley to begin. 9,900 ships began to descend. And then, everything went dark. No one knows what hit the first fleet. 1 second they were flying, next second nothing, not fire, not missiles. Just gone. Deleted TYR. Single quotes. Val screamed into the comms. What was that? Who fired? Only Static replied. Then Sector 3 vanished. Then Sector 7. Ships twisted in midair, turning on each other, screaming, begging Anne. AI voice echoed across all alien frequencies. Welcome to Earth's defense system. You are now inside. The exclusion zone. The alien commanders panicked. What? Is this? Where is their fleet? But there was no fleet.
Oh.
No soldiers. Just one sentence. Burning itself across every screen in every alien ship. You are not the first to try this. You will not be remembered. The Admiral turned pale. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Because Earth wasn't fighting back. Earth was just watching. And smiling. The night sky above Earth was peaceful. Children slept in warm beds. City lights blinked like stars on the ground. Birds flew quietly under the moonlight. But far above, beyond the clouds, there was something no human could see. Something that should not exist. 9,900 alien warships floated in Earth's orbit. Black. Silent. Each ship was the size of a city. Together, they looked like a second sky. A sky made of death. On the command deck of the largest ship stood Admiral Tyrell, the supreme commander of the Xantharian conquest fleet. His cold eyes scanned Earth's blue surface. No shields. No warning beacons. No fleet, he whispered. Earth is open like a ripe fruit. They don't even know we're here. Another alien officer spoke, voice proud and loud. We are ready, Admiral. 9,900 ships await your command. Tyrell smiled. He had crushed 5 planets this year. Earth would be his 6th. Then begin the broadcast, he said. All across Earth. Screens lit up, phones, TVs, satellites, even broken radios. A strange alien voice boomed in every language. This is the Xantharian Empire. You have 1 hour to kneel, refuse, and be erased. This is your only warning. And then silence. The aliens waited. They expected fear. Scream, surrender. But Earth said nothing. 1 minute passed. Then 5. Then 20. Still no answer. A soft buzz filled the Admiral's ears. It was the voice of fear, but not his. His crew grew nervous. Admiral said, a sensor officer, I detect nothing. No fleets, no weapons, no shields. Just silence. Smile faded. What are they planning? He muttered. The countdown reached 0. Begin invasion, he ordered. And then the sky cracked open. It began with light, a blinding white tear in the clouds, like the heavens were ripping apart. The light was not fire nor plasma. It was cold, ancient. It pulsed like a heartbeat, like something alive. One alien cruiser turned its scanners toward it. Gone. Just gone. No explosion. No debris. Vanished in a blink. What was that? Shouted Tyrell. His officers screamed into comms. Fleet 12 is disappearing. We've lost contact with Sector 8. Something is inside our ships. Then it spoke. A voice, not from a mouth. Not from speakers, but inside their minds. You were warned before. You just don't remember. You are not welcome. Here the Admiral's blood ran cold. This wasn't a human voice. But it also wasn't an alien. It was something else. Something older than Earth. Something waiting. Shut it down, Tyrell yelled. Shut down everything. Too late. Ships began to twist. Some folded in half like paper. Others were pulled into the clouds, screaming. No fire, no weapons. Just silence. One alien soldier vomited. Another prayed. None of them had ever seen this. Not even in war simulations. Not even in legends. Then, one final message blinked across all screens. Earth is not undefended. Earth is not asleep. Remembers what you did to her children. And now she remembers you. The Admiral's hands shook. Retreat, he shouted. Everyone retreat now, but only a few ships moved. The rest were already gone. From Earth, people finally looked up. They saw strange clouds moving too fast. Stars blinking where they shouldn't. A light cracking through. The sky like the world was waking up. But they didn't panic. They smiled. Because deep in their bones, even without knowing why, humans knew Earth had just done something terrible. It wasn't over. The Earth was never quiet again after the sky cracked open. The people of Earth had no time to recover from the first attack. The ships came like a wave, massive, silent. And without warning, in every country, people looked up and saw fire. But it wasn't fire from Earth. It was fire from the stars. They came from the black void beyond Mars. A fleet of alien warships. Not a few, not hundreds, but 9,900. Each one bigger than a city block, and each one filled with soldiers who had never lost a war in 1,000 worlds. But something was wrong. They expected. They fear, panic, surrender. They didn't get it. Somewhere over the Pacific Ocean, a small island nation watched the horizon burn at first. People thought it was a natural disaster, maybe a volcano erupting deep underwater. But the fire was too clean, too bright. It didn't rise from the sea. It dropped into it, and then the ocean screamed. A weapon had been fired. It boiled the water for miles. Entire fish species vanished. Waves turned red from heat. The clouds above the ocean vanished, as if the sky itself had been punched. The first strike. A test. A warning. The aliens thought Earth would kneel. But what they didn't know was that Earth had already noticed them, long before they fired, in a hidden base beneath Alaska.
Ow.
General Keller stared at a cold blue screen. The global defense system called Helios Protocol had been tracking alien movement for months. We have confirmation, said the young tech beside him. They're targeting the oceans first. Coastal cities will be next. Keller didn't blink. Have the AI satellites locked them? Yes, sir. All 9,900 ships marked 28 seconds to counterstrike. Keller closed his eyes, then let them burn too. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, Umi, a 14-year-old schoolgirl, stood on her apartment roof. Her cat was shaking in her arms. She watched a black triangle fall from the sky and crash into Tokyo Bay. It didn't explode. It just sat there. Then the water around it started to hiss. Yumi whispered, "Why did they come here?" Her grandfather, standing beside her, whispered back, "Because they think we are weak, but we're not." He looked down at her and smiled. "No, not anymore." The alien ship command. The lead ship, the Kalzarek, hovered over what used to be the Mariana Trench. Inside, General Xerox stood before a massive screen, displaying Earth's rotating map. "They haven't surrendered," one of his officers growled. "Why? They're humans," Xerox said. "They're supposed to fear death. But they do not." Another alien soldier spat. "Then we'll teach them fear. We'll show them what true war feels like." Xerox shook his head. "No, I've studied them. That is our mistake. Earth has been quiet. It's too quiet. They let us come. They watched us arrive. And now," his eyes narrowed. "Now they're waiting to strike back. Back on Earth." The oceans continued to steam. But something strange began to happen. From the deep, from places humans had not touched in decades, strange objects began to rise. Long-forgotten machines. Weapons that looked like oil rigs but moved like snakes. Ships with no flags, no names. They had no pilots, but they were not unarmed. The forgotten defense. Humanity's secret. Buried weapons were now active. One by one, they lit up. Red eyes, black steel, silent missiles. And then, in perfect silence, they launched in space. 3 alien ships vanished instantly, hit by railmass slugs from an orbit they didn't even know was Winnideth. In the next 10 seconds, 17 more were gone. Xerox spun toward his command screen. Who fired? Where? What zone? Number. One answered because. Earth's signal was still silent, and then came the voice. One voice. Old, calm. Human it. Echoed into every alien ship at once. You fired first. You burned our oceans. Now you'll learn why Earth was never invaded and why no one ever came back. The city was quiet. It's too quiet. A week ago, the sky cracked open like an old mirror. The world had not known peace since. Now, the sun hid behind black clouds, and the stars no longer blinked above, but deep underground, in an old subway station beneath New York. 30 humans waited in the dark. Their leader, Captain Isha Clark, stood by the edge of a rusted train. Rail, her hand rested on her belt, near a homemade energy rifle. The others behind her whispered, but not too loud. They had learned the hard way. The enemy had ears. They're scanning again, said Malik, her second in command. His voice shook. He pointed toward the ceiling above them where thin cracks of light flickered. We stay still, Clark whispered. They're not gods, just fast machines. Small girl, maybe 6 years old, tugged Clark's jacket. Why do they hate us? Clark looked into the girl's big brown eyes and didn't answer. She couldn't lie, and the truth was too heavy. 3 alien patrols hovered over the old city. The ships weren't ships, more like floating spiders with black glass legs and glowing blue veins. Side each floated creatures with translucent heads, their brains lit with purple fire. One leaned toward the screen. Life signs. Below, it hissed. Another responded in their strange clicking language. Orders say burn? They opened a side hatch. Plasma drone dropped like a rock, burrowing through the street. Underground, now a loud thud, then the shaking. Everyone. Froze. Clark's fingers tightened around her rifle. Them again, Malik asked. Clark nodded. Get the children inside the old car. Shield it. She pointed to the rusted train car behind them. The walls had been coated in alien scrap stuff, pulled off dead machines. It acted like camouflage. The drone hit ground level. Tunnels, its red eye, blinked on. Beep, beep, beep. The humans held their breath. The drone paused, then suddenly. A whisper from the tunnel walls. Human. Protocol. Confirmed. Malik's eyes went wide. Did that thing just speak? Clark stepped forward, confused. It's not one of ours. The drone shook. Its red light turned. Green dot. Then it said, Earth. Still remembers. Everyone stood still. Even the girl in the train car stopped crying. The drone slowly turned. Away, floated up, and left. Did Earth just protect us? Someone whispered. Clark stepped forward and touched the metal wall. It was warm. No, she said slowly. Then she looked at the ceiling. The light cracks were pulsing. Something inside Earth did. In orbit, alien command ship. Commander of the 9,900 ship fleet stared at a pulsing red screen. Sector 44, fail. Sector 12, fail. Units not responding, said the AI. The commander snarled. This planet does not sleep. It fights even in silence. Behind him, a younger alien stepped back from his control panel. Sir, new data shows Earth is waking something. Old. Very old. The commander's skin turned pale. Impossible. They silenced their gods long ago. The younger one turned the screen to face him. No, sir. The gods were never Earth's. Earth. Is the god? Back on Earth, Malik looked at Clark. What now? Clark's face was hard. Her eyes didn't blink. They came with 9,900 ships, she said. He nodded. Yeah, and only a few will leave. How can you be so sure? She stepped back into the tunnel, her voice cold, because Earth just picked a side. And 4. The first time in days, the cracked sky above thundered back. The smoke had not even cleared from the ruined cities when Earth's true defense finally stood up. Commander Vera, still bleeding from the first assault, stared at the satellite. Footage. The alien fleet had pulled back. Wreckage floated in low orbit. Thousands of ships were gone, but not all. Some had survived. They were planning something worse. The world thought the war was over. But Vera saw the truth. They're not retreating, she said quietly, her voice trembling. They're waiting. In a hidden chamber deep under Greenland, Earth's last functional war council gathered. The generals looked tired, old, broken, but Vera, just 27, walked in with fire in her eyes. They left because they're afraid, she said. But fear doesn't make them run, it makes them prepare. The others laughed. We destroyed 9,000 of their ships. But Vera pointed to the screen. A signal, not a distress call, not a surrender, a countdown. Meanwhile, in space, the few alien ships that survived had formed a ring around Saturn. Their injured commander, High Warlord Zuru, limped through his bridge, his body fused with metal implants. He turned to his officers, all shaken by their losses. Why didn't we win? One whispered. They are primitive. Zurl snarled. No, they are focused. We scattered our power. They concentrated theirs. They let us land, then burned us alive. He looked at the humans through a long-range screen, and worst of all, they didn't even use their real weapons. Back on Earth, Vera unlocked the black file. It had one word on the cover. Project Echo. It was never meant to be used. But the time had come. She walked through a sealed lab where machines older than her had started humming again. A scientist looked at her, pale with fear. Are we really activating it? She nodded. Yes, because this isn't just a war. It's the second round of extinction. And this time, we choose who burns. In the ruins of Tokyo, a small team of human survivors found something strange. A sphere, glowing, alien, but different. It pulsed when one of them touched it, then whispered in a language no one knew, but a child, 10-year-old girl, answered it back. The adults stared. Child's eyes had changed. Something had entered her. Not possession. Integration. A voice spoke from her mouth. But it was ancient, deep, and not human. We are what they feared. And now you will remember who you were. The aliens detected it first. A pulse, like a voice from deep Earth, a calling it. Wasn't a human weapon. It was older. Zurl gasped. They woke it up. Earth had survived the first attack, but now something older than war awakened. Something buried under Earth's crust. It had no name in human tongue, but in the stars. It was known as the last memory, and it had only one question. Who dares touch my children? It began with the trees. Not bombs. Not ships. Not armies. Just trees moving. On every continent, forests groaned. Roots twisted. Branches bent like arms reaching. In the Amazon, trees began glowing faint blue. In Siberia, snow melted around ancient pines that pulsed like heartbeats. Birds flew in circles. Animals stopped running. It was like Earth was breathing differently, watching, waiting. In Kenya, an old tribal elder stared at Mount Kilimanjaro. He dropped to his knees and whispered, "It's waking up again." His granddaughter asked, "What is the part of Earth we buried?" Meanwhile, in space, Warlord Zurl, second in command, screamed, "Sir, we're picking up seismic signals from across Earth, and a second wave of heat blooms not from weapons." Zurl stood still. His robotic eye twitched. He knew this wasn't a military tactic. It was something worse. "They're not fighting us anymore," he muttered. "They're letting their planet fight for them." His crew looked at each other. "What does that mean?" Zurl turned to the stars. "It means we invaded the wrong species." Back underground, Commander Vera stood before the Echo. Core, her blood felt warm, no dash hot. The machine around her began changing, not by switches, not by code. It responded to thought, memory, fear. It was growing from metal into something alive. The lead scientist gasped. "Project Echo isn't just a weapon, it's a gateway, a door to whatever lived here before us." Vera didn't look away. "Good," she said, "because I want to meet it." In the ruins of an old temple. In South America, the child who had touched the alien sphere stood on a stone altar. She was surrounded by fireflies. But they didn't fly, they hovered. Frozen, glowing, She raised one hand and the sky cracked like glass. Alien soldiers began collapsing, not from bullets, but from echoes, voices inside their heads. Millions of them whispers from Earth's past. Not just human past, Earth's true memory. The planet remembered being hunted, burned, invaded before, and now it was fighting back. Through the wind, the soil, the animals, and through humans. Humans began to glow. Some ran faster than light, some screamed in shattered steel. Some wept in the ground, shook with them. The alien fleets tried to retreat, but their engines failed. Space itself had changed. Earth had grown claws. Zurl, watching from his flagship, realized one thing too late. Earth was not a rock with life. On it, Earth was alive. It had used humans like a shell, like fingers, and now it was awake. Zurl shouted, "Evacuate!" But before they could move, a giant shadow passed over Saturn's rings. Not a ship, not a god, a memory, formless, endless. It looked at him and said nothing, but Zurl knew they were never supposed to come here. The battlefield was silent now. Smoke rose like ghosts from broken alien ships. Craters burned where once proud machines had landed with power and pride. Earth had fought back harder than anyone expected, but Earth was not celebrating. Deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, inside the human command bunker, General Mara stood in front of a giant screen. Her face was pale. Her voice was tight. "We just received a message," she said to the room of officers and scientists. Commander Rafi leaned forward. "From the aliens?" "No, from space itself." The lights dimmed, and the lights dimmed, and the screen came alive. It was not a voice. It was a warning. A deep, vibrating pulse shook the speakers. Then a symbol appeared. Not alien, not human, but old, ancient. Something ... cosmic. The symbol pulsed once, then again. Cold voice translated. Earth was not the target. You were the test. Now the real ones come. No one spoke. A test, General Mara whispered. 9,900 ships. And that was just their scout team? The room stayed frozen in fear. Suddenly, alarms rang out. New object was entering Earth's system. But this was not a fleet. It was something else. Bigger, darker. It was not flying like a ship. It was floating. Sliding between dimensions, the scientists watched in shock as data poured in. It wasn't made of metal. It wasn't even solid. It was ... alive. And then something terrifying happened. The wrecked alien ships, those that had fallen across Earth, started. Shaking, their broken pieces glowed. Reactivating, one of the technicians shouted. They're calling for something. Not backup. A beacon. It's a signal. Shut it down. General Mara shouted, but it was too late. From every crash site, a light beamed into the sky. Thin white pillars connecting Earth to something far away. Then came the message again. You passed the first test. Let's see if you survive the next. At that moment, every screen in the bunker went black, and every person felt the same thing. Eyes watching them from space. Not angry, just ... curious. Outside, in the deep silence of space, something moved. A being larger than the moon. With eyes like stars, as keen like swirling galaxies. It was not from this universe. It had been sleeping, but Earth had made noise. Now it was awake, and it was coming too. See what humans really were. No one expected the sky to cry. But it did. Not with water. Thin white beams dropped from space like needles, piercing oceans, deserts, cities. They made no sound. They did not burn. But they changed everything. The war was supposed to be over. Earth had survived the alien invasion. Humanity had won, or so they thought. Now something worse had arrived. A being, not a fleet, not a soldier. Not a god. Something older, something beyond time. It didn't come to destroy. It came to judge. And Earth had no idea how to prepare. General Mara stood alone on the ridge above the ruins of old Denver. Dust swirled in the wind, whispering through bones of dead machines. Behind her, Commander Rafi spoke softly. "We beat them. We buried their war machines. What else do they want?" Mara didn't turn. Her eyes stared into the white beam glowing. "In the sky? They never wanted Earth. We were never the target." Rafi frowned. "Then what were we?" Mara exhaled. "A mirror. They wanted to see what happens when life is pushed to its edge." Just then, a vibration passed through the Earth. Every animal looked up. Every human felt a chill in their bones. Something had entered the atmosphere in orbit. All satellites went dead except one, an old weather satellite, half broken, forgotten. It recorded something impossible, a creature, the size of a mountain, floating silently above Earth. Its body was not metal or flesh. It was space itself, living shadow of stars and storms. It had no mouth, but still spoke, not with words, but with memories. All of Earth, all at once, saw flashes in their minds. A child running from alien fire, a mother holding her son during the final bombing, a soldier screaming as he ran into a burning city, knowing he'd die, a human, broken, bleeding, refusing to fall. The being watched and waited at the heart of Earth's last command center. The AI sparked back to life. It spoke in a cold voice. The being is observing, waiting. One act of selfishness, and it ends us. Mara looked around. What does it want? No one had the answer, until the sky opened again, not with ships, but visions. 1,000 alien races. Every species that had failed the test, ruined worlds, dead stars, civilizations erased like chalk on blackboard, because they turned on each other when hope was lost, because they showed weakness when no one was watching. But Earth had not. Earth endured. Humanity stood together, and now they were being watched one final time. Suddenly, a child, just 8 years old, walked into the beam of light in the city ruins. People screamed for her to come back, but she stood still. Then something incredible happened. The beam stopped. The being spoke through the wind. The weak protect the strong. The young protect the old. This world is different. The clouds cracked. The stars seemed to breathe. And for the first time in all known history, the being bowed, not to gods, not to armies, but to humanity. A new message burned into the sky. Earth is now under our protection. No one will harm this species again. The white beams vanished, the stars shifted, and the galaxy held its breath, because for the first time in eons, the universe had hope again, and that hope came from humans.